Give me 1 second before we start this. Give me 1 second. A couple things. Okay. Alright. Let's try another angle for this video. Kind of sick, y'all, so please excuse me. I may sneeze here and there through the video. Ooh. Like that. Okay. Alright, that's better. There we go. Give me a second, y'all. Ooh, getting up doing lecture for y'all boys. I got y'all though. I don't know. Nice toothpaste right here, that hell off. Get right. We gotta stop using this 4-eye toothpaste. Fucking up a pineal gland, a third eye. But same as mouthwash. Ah, they fucked up my angle. Well, when you brush your teeth too, don't use your tap water. They got that fluoride in it. Also, they put fluoride in everything. Ooh. Alright. Almost ready, fellas. It's time about the Esau man today. The white man. The man from the Caucasus Mountains. Ooh, alright. You already know. Let's start out with a meditation. Good Lord, I'm sick. I gotta fast. I ain't been fasting, so I'm sick. Shout out my boy Yaki. He getting me right. But yeah, get my fruits, vegetables, my juices. Gotta cleanse out. That's why I'm getting sick. Let's get it though. Let me get me some shit for my hair too. Ooh. Alright, guys. Let's get it. I'm gonna do the best I can to get through this. Now, I promise y'all, I got lectures coming up. Plenty. Especially once the summer comes, which is about to start. It's about to be June soon, a couple days. But, let's see. Okay. Now, actually, before I even eat this, before we do anything, you already know. Let's start out with a little meditation. Meditate anything you want, your chakras, anything you got your mind on. Just sit and meditate. And excuse me, y'all. Let's breathe through your nose. It's way healthier for you. use the background music. Okay. Now that we meditated, let's get into just worked on the chakras a little bit there. Sometimes I'll talk to the ancestors depending on my mood. But let's get straight into it though. I gotta move this camera. This come on. Okay. I got you, y'all. Man. I'm gonna tell y'all to skip to around 15 minutes for the lecture. In the description, where am I cross at right now? Oof. Add something right now. I just kept it like I had it, y'all. Hold on, y'all. Try this. shovel. Ooh, shovel. Perfect. Particularly like that. Let's get it started. Oh, hold up. Gotta sneeze real quick. 15 minutes, yeah. Right, really around 16 minutes. I may be sneezing throughout the video, but I got you. Let's get it started. The domination of the white man. The domination of the European. The rise of white supremacy. Now, before we get this started, I'm gonna give a disclaimer out. I'm not gonna throw any hate. I'm not trying to throw any hate towards white people. And I don't want any white person to be offended. Well, actually, you can get offended if you want to. But don't take this as a personal attack. I'm mainly talking about your ancestors, but I am talking about you as well. Not personally. I'm talking about you from a historic and a systematic stance. Not anything about you individually. I'm talking about as a group of white people. Now, let's get it started. How did this come about? White supremacy. Well, first, let's talk about what white supremacy means. White supremacy, well, know what it means. Everyone knows what it means. White power. The white race is the best race. Everyone knows what white supremacy means. Good Lord, I'm sick. Let's get into what is racism specifically. Racism is systemic, like I said, and specifically for blacks. Racism is to bring down another group of people and put a system in place for no matter what, it is going to bring down that group systematically, and it'll be a detriment to their life. It is to take out another group of people slowly. And the racism we have now, see, back in the day, it was up front. There were more bigots. All white people are racist. And that is not, I'm not being hateful. When I mean racist, I'm talking systematic. There are some individual white people who we have would be called bigots. They hate black people who say, oh, I don't like you because you're black. That is a bigot. I hate you, you fucking nigger. Those are your bigots. Your bigots hate black people. They throw hate towards black people. They don't like them. Why am I saying them? They don't like us for the color of our skin. Not just that, but other things too, maybe. Oh, you goddamn fucking niggers. Goddamn. But, you have your bigots, and then you have your racists. All white people benefit from racism. So because of that, they're all racist. Racism only cares about resources, controlling resources, and controlling power. Well, my bad. Controlling resources, controlling power, and controlling money. That's all it is. It's wanting to control it. Instead of it being even, white supremacy put racism in play so they can control all of it through America. And any person white automatically benefits from this because of their skin. I'll give you an example. Something like redlining. Redliner in around the 40s and 50s, it was made after the Great Depression. They had these maps, and they had green parts of the map and red parts of the map. The green parts of the map, and redlining was to give out loans, by the way. It was giving out loans to people where they could buy homes and stuff. The green parts of the map were considered the safe zones. As far as we could give these people a loan and we shouldn't have to worry too much about it. The red parts of the map, those were the danger zones. Those were the zones where we need to be afraid of these people, and we're most likely not going to give them a loan. We really need to stay away from giving these people in the red zones a loan. Now what? And these zones, all these maps was across America. After the Great Depression, still lasts to this day. Actually, it's just like I told you, there are less bigots now. Racism is systematic. So, hold up, y'all. Oh, what's up? Hold up, I'm doing a lecture right now. Like I said, systematic. So it is. It doesn't have to be verbalized. When it's not verbalized, it looks the same that it goes away. But racism has not gone away. It's just not verbalized. Now, back to the redliner. I want y'all to guess who are in the red zones and who's in the green zones. Actually, not even that. Because there were black people in the green zones. I want you to guess the wealth the people in the green zones had compared to the red zones. The red zones were more poor. The green zones had more wealth, which is why they were given more loans and considered in the safe zone. The red parts of the map did not. They did not get, I won't say they didn't get it at all, but it was very unlikely for them to get a loan, especially in the red or danger zone, because they were more poor. But it's not just because they were poor. It's because most of those people were black in the red zones. Now, back, now that we all are familiar with that now, and we know what racism is. Let's get into why it was created. Why did it have to be created? Well, let's take it back. First, there were no white people. There's no book. There's no history. There is nothing leading to the fact that white people was here first, no matter what anybody tells you. I can't even call it a lie because there's nothing saying that it was that way in the first place that I know of. We just had the black people. You had your 5 skin mutations. The black man, the brown man, the red man, the yellow man, and the white man. But let's start out with the blacks first. Now I'm not gonna necessarily get all into how we were created, but let's just start out once we were on the planet by ourselves. Let's start from there. Let's start from there. After dark matter energy kicked in, the black woman was created, the first God, and then the black man. Let's start from there. Straight from genetics, because we were God's chosen people. We were gifted everything. Natural intelligence. Athleticism. Charismatic. All these things were gifted to us naturally, from the jump, from genetics. And then here comes a guy y'all know, Jacob or Yakub. Yakub comes through, hates himself, one of the 7 fallen angels, hates himself. He was the first coon. Yakub was the first coon. Yakub came through. He hated his race so much. He wanted to take us out and wanted his own race. Now keep in mind, Yakub is our brother. Yakub was an actual person. Yakub is Jacob. Yakub created his race of people, as it would say in the Bible, Esau, through the wolf, the pig, the monkey, and the gods, who were us. Each 25%. 25% of the wolf, 25% of the pig, 25% of the monkey. It's that brown monkey specifically. I forgot the name of it. And then 25% of the gods. Through this experiment, which is just the monkey to the human being evolution experiment, you can see that chart from anywhere. I know you've seen it before. That was Yakub's experiment. Yakub was a scientist. He was very smart because he had those gifts. Because of his genetics, he's a god. Once that experiment was created, Yakub came with his own race, the white man. Now let's actually get into, well, y'all know the reason. Let's get into what the aftermath of this. Now, this was after Yakub had already passed, but this race was created to automatically have a race of people always thinking about one thing, and that's power and genocide. After he died, it would live on, and his spirit would live on through these people. Yakub, once he passed, the white race, and real quick, that wasn't necessarily the first race created. I'm just using them for right now since we're talking about white supremacy. The brown man was also created by Yakub, the red man, the yellow man, and the white man. Now, let's stick on the white man first, since they have the least amount of melanin, and their genetic strength is very, very weak. The white man, he has to get his strength from somewhere else. Not even necessarily if it's from us. That's through the race mix. I'm not even talking about that. For him, in order for him to survive, the white man has to use gun warfare. That's what they created. Gun warfare. That's where the genocide started. The white man taught by Yakub. We have to keep that in mind too. And not just Yakub. Years later on, after Yakub, the white man and the white woman were taught etiquette. They were taught professionalism and how to be more like a God per se, but in a different way, because Yakub didn't want them to be too much like God. He just needed them to have some type of our since we walked on two legs. The white man did not originally walk on two legs, because I told you 75% of him is monkey, pig, and wolf. So that's what he knows. Naturally, he's coming walking on all fours. And that's not going to change. And that wouldn't have changed. Even when his strength built up, he still would walk on all fours. Now, when... Good Lord, let's see. Now, when the white man starts building up his etiquette and professionalism and becoming... That's why white people are so much more, unlike black people. There's more, professional and all that when it comes to this. And they came over from the Caucasus Mountains. We all know this. They were dry, and that's where they were trained and taught. They started walking on their twos, which was taught to them, not the fours. They started looking at it too. All of them were pale then. Creative. They were put in the Caucasus Mountains, one of the coldest places on Earth. I forgot, I think it's somewhere between Russia now, I believe. I don't know specifically. They had to get put in this place because of their genetics. Their skin couldn't take the heat. They cannot go to Africa where we were. They cannot go to America where we were. They have to live in the European world because that's where it's colder. Okay. And also, I also had to remember that was in the physical world. In another realm, Yakub, I forgot to explain to y'all, Yakub actually created them not on Earth, but in planet Nurm. I forgot to bring that up. But we'll talk about that another day. They were created from planet Nerve, which is another planet. Actually, it's really another universe. And then he came to planet Kai, dropped him here. Boom. The white man and white woman was created. Now, and also back to the characteristics of black people and everything. And that's the only reason everyone is considered a human being, even though they are the only human beings. The only reason they are considered compared to us is because they were taught to walk on two legs. We did it naturally. They had to get taught that. But now, um, let's get into slavery. Let's get into slavery. Ooh, slavery. Hmm. Why did it have to start? Slavery had to start. The white man realized he wouldn't last long if gen- genocide genocide had to be done to the black race from the white man, because the black race had the most power, and if they continue like this, they will eradicate the white race because of their genetic power. Even to this day, that is why the white government and the white man hates the black man. No matter how if you have all five of the skin tones in the room, the black man, the brown man, the red man, the yellow man, and the white man, the black man will be most hated even if he has the least amount of money. He will be hated the most. He has nothing, but he will be hated the most because why? Because of his genetic power. He is the only one in that room that can create himself through any of the other four races. The white man is the most hateful to the black man because he can only do the opposite. He can only create himself through his race. Any other race, if the white race has a baby with any of the other race, it will be that race. There's no such thing in this mixed stuff. Now, back to slavery. Black people, we were living good. We were living good. Shout out to Mansa Musa, the richest man ever, that a lot of people don't talk about. A god. There's a couple more people. King Tut. But I'm not even gonna necessarily just talk about the richest people, because we didn't necessarily always go off for riches. We went as a group of people, and we knew who we were. Like I said, the white man could not take this because he realized this would be to his detriment, even though we were not doing it on purpose. Just naturally, because of our genetic power. And since Africa has the most, and still to this day still has the most resources, everything comes through Africa. They realized they would not survive if they don't do something about it. What did they do? We got to create the gun. The gun was created. And I forgot specifically by who. Definitely a white man. The gun was created. Gun warfare began. Well, I can't even call it warfare. It was just genocide through the gun. They came over from Europe. messed up Africa and America. We're from both places. Do not get it mixed up. You're gonna drive yourself crazy trying to figure out where we were from. We are from everywhere because we are the original man. They came through, genocided Africa, genocided America, genocided South America, all these places. And they didn't do it up front. They came through it. They were strategic with it. They came through and said, hold up, we can't go up front and try to fight these people because we will lose. Even if we have the guns. Because if they get a hold of them, it will be over. We got to make it like we mess with these people first. We are the Native Americans, by the way. Don't let no one tell you it's different. Came through. We taught them everything they need to know. How to catch certain things. How to build their houses. Not houses, but, things they were living in back then. How to wash certain clothes and all that. You know, the black women would show the white women how to take care of the kids. The black man did not hunt for animals. In fact, actually, the white man showed the black man how to hunt for animals. The black man showed the white man how to pick crops. And when I mean crops, I'm not talking about stuff they planted. I'm talking about stuff that was naturally there, that was God given. Fruit, vegetables, stuff that was already there. Now, let's just say they took all this kindness for granted. They didn't take it for granted. They did it on purpose. This is exactly what they wanted. They needed us like this to catch us off guard. And the moment, well, I can't say we put our guard down because we never had it up, because since we're rooted from spirituality, we didn't have in our mind that another race of people would try to genocide us. Genocide is to take out another race of people, by the way. Um, and to do it in the way they did it is still the most gruesome thing to ever happen on this earth, on planet Kai. They took all our kindness and they just stabbed us in the back, which wasn't surprising. That's what Yakub taught them. That's what he created them for. Genocide and warfare and control. Now, we're not going to get too much into slavery, but I just had to bring up slavery there, to get you where it started from. But now, let's see. Oh, I do got to stay on slavery a little bit. What they took from us in slavery. First, they took our names. We don't know our names. The English language is what most of us know. I would even say probably the African language is probably not what we think it is. It's possible. I would have to look into it. They took our history also. Pre 1400, a lot of black history is erased. Pre history in general, actually, no, I can't say that. Nope. Black history pre 1400 is erased. From 1400 to 1800, all they teach you is slavery. They don't teach you all the good we did. They don't teach you how we was here first. But they took one thing that's underrated that they took from us is our religion, our original African spirituality. That's what we went by. We did not we did not we didn't gloss over one man. It was as a group and as a people. When someone passed, which was peaceful, that was to help the ones still on earth. We glossed that and we prayed to, we meditated to the ancestors, not one man. The ancestors have power because they are at their highest self. And they can still control stuff in the physical, even though they are strictly their spiritual selves now. They also they took our culture. Even though we still know some of it, a lot of not even just the culture, I should say, inventions we made or things black people did that the slave master took and put his name on it. Country is a good example. The toilet is a good example. Country was created by a black slave guy. His slave master took credit for it. The toilet was black originally. The slave master took credit for it. And just to cover up even more that it was a black man to create the toilet, that's why he changed it to white. White supremacy does not have morals to other races. Now, I'm not gonna get on this Jesus stuff today. So I got that. Y'all go watch the other lecture for that. You know. Now let's get into the fact they also, through slavery, taught us everything that goes against nature. They tell us white people are first, which goes against nature. That goes against nature because the black woman and black man is first. They tell us the man was first because that goes against nature. Because the black woman is actually first. Anything that goes against nature is what they taught us in slavery. Jesus was a white man. It goes against nature. The clouds and the weather are controlled by God. That goes against nature. The government controls the weather. God has nothing to do with it. Let me think of something. Clothing goes against nature, specifically for black people. Because we are electrical, any clothing, it kind of, you can still get it. But going outside, it can slightly restrict you from receiving your full rejuvenation of your melanin. Anything that goes against nature, we need to teach these people. And we really need to make them believe it. It has to be believed, or they will look into it themselves. If we answer their questions, why? Like, why is the man first? Don't tell them why. We're going to teach them that's just the way it is. And that's the end of the story. We're going to teach them young, too. So when they get older, they will not even question it. Now, also, another thing with nature, with trees, a tree is actually a bush. But they teach us regular trees are just trees. Actual trees are mountains. They teach us regular trees are trees because, you know, it goes against nature. In the workplace, straightened hair and hair dealt with is what they want, or the etiquette that they want seen by other people. Because why? In straight down here. Because of why? The black man and black woman's hair, their ether goes up. Their ether is a coil. They go against nature by it not wanting to be our hair. Anything that goes with the black man and black woman, they will go against. Now, coming up on the Civil War, let's get into that. We're fighting with the Confederates. Now, real quick, we were never actually freed through slavery. Physically, you can say that. But, we then forced them to really free us. We the ones that freed ourselves. Abraham Lincoln didn't free us. Hold up, y'all. Hold up. But Abraham Lincoln didn't free us. We put the pressure on him. Now, I got to give a shout out to Nat Turner because he was the reason Abe Lincoln even considered it through Nat Turner's rebellion. Got a video on him. Y'all go watch that. But when they gave us guns, we were fighting with the Confederates. They said, hold up. Abe Lincoln said, hold up. First, the Confederates were winning and about to win. Things turned around at Gettysburg's Address. At the Gettysburg Address, Abe Lincoln had to change his strategy. He was like, these Confederates, the way they're going, because they have all the black people on the front line with guns, if they win this war, forget this Union Confederate stuff, we'll have a bigger problem. The bigger issue, we will have all these slaves with rifles, with muskets, and they will not turn them in because technically the ones in war are kind of free right now. The only person they have to listen to is their muskets. If they come together and revolt, there won't be nothing we could do about it. So, because of that, Abe Lincoln realized he's got to do something. What does he do? He frees them. Why did he have to free them? he didn't just free them just to win the war, because freeing them, the slaves no longer cared about the Confederates. They were only doing it because a lot of the Confederates, well, some of them, they were guaranteeing the freedom of the slaves, of some of the slaves, if they fought in the war with them. Some of them, they were just forced to do it. But still, once they were taken away from the Confederates, they were all alone. But why did he have to? Because he could have easily just said no slaves allowed in the war. But nah, he intentionally freed the slaves. And why did he do that? Because if he didn't, the slaves would have demanded, they would have thrown a war onto the Confederate and the Union. They would have thrown a war to get out of slavery. So Abe Lincoln, thinking smart, very smart, who is actually a god himself, but that's another conversation. He's very mixed. Just look at his hair without a hat. But he he thought smart. His mom was a slave, dad's slave owner. But he thought smart and said, let me go ahead and free them. Because if I don't, this may end up very ugly for the Union and the Confederate. And what does white supremacy honor the most? The race. Nothing becomes before the race. Power, resources, and money of the race of the white man. And what would that have done? That would have affected the money, the resources, and most of all, the power of the white man, that the white man had on to the slaves. So yeah, let's free them. What Abe Lincoln says. The slaves, they all weren't really happy, because even they knew then, we still got to build ourselves up. Even though we're out of physical slavery, a lot of us are in mental slavery. A lot of slaves didn't leave immediately. A lot of them stayed in slavery. Shoot, until even in the 1960s, a lot of them still lived on their plantations that they were born on. Then we get out of slavery, you know, building ourselves up, black businesses, black hotels, black grocery stores, black everything. Did it for ourselves. As much as the white man hated it, he had to acknowledge that we were doing it ourselves. The white man puts feelings aside for certain things because logic has to come into play. Logic has to come over emotion. If you fight with emotion, you will lose most of the time. If you fight logically, you're fighting with a plan. And so even if you're losing the battle, you have a backup plan. Fighting emotionally, there is no backup plan. You're just throwing out all of your gunshots. You're giving it everything you got. It could work, but it could not. Logically, even if it doesn't work, you have something else to go back to. Now, we're out of slavery. The white man still hates us. But the white man realizes all the work the slaves have done over these years. We built the White House. We built all the roads, the railroads, these buildings, these historic buildings, I should say, historic schools. All this stuff was built. Bridges, historic bridges. All this stuff was built by the slaves. the crops that were picked, the economic um all the money made from these crops the slaves was picking from the plantation, all this money that was made from the black man and the black woman through slavery. The white man realized we cannot have this happen again. We cannot depend on these people to make us money anymore. That cannot happen. Now, I'm actually gonna real quick before I get into that, before I get into them realizing that they can no longer depend, they can never allow us to make them money anymore and have them depend on us specifically. They don't have a problem with us making them money. That's not the issue. The issue is if they depend on it. They depended on the slaves. The slaves had to do it. They didn't want to. That's why they had the slaves do it. They depended on it. But before I get into that though, I want to get into the Jim Crow era. Now, like I said earlier, we had all our black owned stuff, even though through the Jim Crow era, I'm gonna get to that in a second. The white man realized we've got to make it as ruthless as possible for these black people, even though they were already doing it. We got to take it to another level because now they're building all this stuff up. They're getting confidence, everything. They're strictly with their race. They're building up. So, they have their own towns. Clarksville. I forgot, what's that park called? The park in New York. The Apple Park. They have all these things. What can we do to overcome that and get them, not necessarily get them out, but we got to destroy them to where America is strictly most white power. The white power is what runs it. Well, we don't want to share the power with them, so we can't ask them, we can't buy it from them, or because they're not going to take it, or we can't ask them to just let us have it because they're definitely not going to do that at what just happened in slavery. So what do? We're going to literally have to take it from them, or since taking them from them will be tough, we're going to have to destroy them and kill them. Now that's where we have the bombings. I know you've heard of bombings of 1912. Now, not just that. There were other bombers. The bombers that killed the 4 little girls in the house. The bombing of Clarksville, Georgia. The black-owned town. The Black Wall Street bombings. 1985, the move movement. The Move Conscious Group in Philadelphia, I believe, bombed them. And they bombed all these places and didn't give any restitution and actually covered up a lot of them. Now, there was way more bombs than that. Bombing in Wilmington. There was a lot more bombs than that, but I'm just giving you examples. These bombers were to take the power that white people had and put it even higher. because all these black owned things we have, now we gotta rebuild it all the way back up. And see, when they kept rebuilding, that's where it got to, man, they keep bombing all the stuff that we're creating for ourselves. Like, what's the point even more? Like, what's even the point anymore of trying to make it? And that's why now you don't see the ambition anymore from the black community because of what they was doing to us. Now, and you also had lynchings going on, but that was strictly more of a hate thing than anything else. And the castrations through the lynchings was because of genetic material. Now, after they're bombing all that stuff, the white man says, hold up now. I love what we're doing with these bombings and everything. I'm loving all of it. We're taking everything these black people are making for themselves and destroying it. I absolutely love it. But we need to take it up a notch because some of these people are thinking about rebuilding the stuff. So what we've got to do, we've got to get them to come kind of in their mind join us, but in reality just to come work for us so they can make money for us. But we will not depend on them. They would just be making it. And if they think we'll depend on them, we'll just have the Mexicans come and do it for cheap. They get all these more white businesses. And through gentrification, they took these black towns that were still left, the very minimum ones still left in America through the 60s and 70s, even now still. They take them, raise the rent first. That's the first step through gentrification. Raise the rent. The black people move out because they can't afford it. They're automatically gonna pay the blacks less. The black people was not going for it, so obviously they would move out or they would eventually get evicted. Once they move out, now they're homeless. Now, since that building is no longer full of blacks, the white people can just come in. This is the second step. They come in, they make it a white majority town. Even actually not even majority, even if it's half and half. But the third step is what key. They make these places that black people were living in, or even if it was the black businesses, they make it white establishments. See? Even if the black people are still there, if it's a white establishment, you can't no longer call it a black town. They put white establishments, white schools, white grocery stores, hotel, anything. Put it over white restaurants. Put it over all this black stuff so nobody will ever remember it. When they did that, now this goes back to the history thing of our accomplishments. It's the same philosophy of what the slave masters were doing. The invention, and they was taking credit for it. Well, with this, we had our restaurant here, but because you raised the rent of stuff, and we had to move out or get evicted, you came swarm in and put your own stuff there. On purpose. That is the gentrification. Now, with this oh yeah, and then the point I was making with gentrification, once they did that, and through all this, they were still burning our stuff down, destroying our things. The Black Wall Street in Oklahoma, that massacre was probably the worst I know of right now. That was terrible. Over 300 blacks killed. Came in with airplanes dropping bombs in Tulsa. It was ridiculous. Just killing blacks left and right. Over 300 people. It's the worst massacre still to this day. Black Wall Street killings. Oh, that y'all. But now, let's get to what they did in return. None of this was it still wasn't enough. Blacks were still, they were still rising. They were still rising like, come on guys, we can do this. We've got hope. And what was that hope that they were getting that white people could not figure out? The black leaders, the black conscious leaders, they were the hope. They were the hope because they had solution. They had hope because they were exposing stuff that some of the slave predecessors may have not knew. And we had became more educated. And since we had became more educated, we started looking at stuff from different perspectives, not just from a slave perspective, because we were in mental slavery. And so once these black conscious leaders like Marcus Garvey, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, all these guys, Elijah Muhammad, all these guys, Frederick Douglass, Sojourner Truth, all these black conscious leaders, they started scanning and exposing the stuff that I'm learning still now. They're exposing the stuff I'm saying and started educating other blacks. Why this is bad? This is bad for the white supremacy, the white power structure, because even though they're dropping in economics because we're destroying all their stuff and we're taking over all their businesses with gentrification, since they're educating themselves and their education is going higher and higher, black relevant education, eventually they will start to catch up in economics again. And if they catch up in economics and education, there will be nothing we can do. I want y'all to look up COINTELPRO, the COINTELPRO documents in the FBI. And these documents are to take out any black messiahs, any black leaders, any group trying to unify. COINTELPRO is who took out the MOVE group in Philadelphia. I want y'all to look those documents up and tell me the type of blacks that they are taking out. The militant groups. They're taking out the militant black groups who are consciously awakening people. They're taking out the education blacks. Actually, I can't even say economics. They're taking out the conscious blacks. And they're also taking out the militant blacks willing to fight back. Those are that is one thing the white power structure does not want to see. They do not want to see conscious, furious, and rebellion black people. Still to this day, that's one thing they don't want. No matter, you ask one white person that, I guarantee you, that is one thing they don't want. That's why they just allowed us to come in and, I guess you could say, share it. I wouldn't call it sharing, because they don't want us to revolt, because they know what will happen. Even now, we're educating ourselves, but the revolting has went away. So the white power structure says we don't have nothing to worry about because you're not showing no action. Words is anything. These words I'm saying, these are just words. But action got to get put behind this. Now, let's get to, let me see. I'm going to stay on the black ladies. Killed Marcus Garvey. And I'm not going to get into too much detail today on how they killed him. That'll be for another lecture. Marcus Garvey, shout out to him, Pan-Africanist, wanted blacks come together, and strictly, he was about separation. And I love that. That's what I like to go by. I guess you could call myself a Garveyite. Separation. Separation is the way blacks will come together. Uniting. And when I mean separation, separating from other races is how blacks, that's how we will rise. Martin Luther King. Actually, before I get Martin Luther King, Malcolm X. Him and Martin Luther King, you know, they had their disagreements. You can disagree on stuff. I don't know why black people have this notion if you disagree on stuff that you are beefing. No. That doesn't mean they were beefing. But Malcolm did help Martin Luther King change his ideas on stuff. As with Martin, Malcolm had him looking at stuff differently. But what they were both for doing was for the same cause. Now, before they did that and came together, because they only met one time, it was right before Malcolm was killed. They were going to come together and lead the biggest, even though they did it anyway, they was going to lead the biggest black revolution, black conscious revolution movement in history. They were going to do it. Now, these guys were not the most financially gifted, I'll say. But that's okay, because they had the smarts. Martin Luther King had the church behind him. Malcolm X, he had his Muslims behind him. And he was with the revolution to fight back. Martin Luther King, he had his voice. He had the power of his voice. Together, they would have been unstoppable. And who was going to fund it? Sam Cooke. Sam Cooke was going to fund it. The singer Sam Cooke was going to fund it. He was going to fund it. So they had to kill him. Here's where the killings come. By the way, they killed Marcus Garvey because of the separation ideologies he had, because they realized how detrimental it was going to be to the white race. Shout out to Marcus Garvey. Where am I at? Shit, I'm sick as fuck. But after they killed Marcus Garvey, then they killed Sam Cooke. It wasn't back to back, but I'm just saying. And there's way more leads in this. I just can't think of all of them right now. They killed Sam Cooke, because he was going to fund Martin Luther King's and Malcolm X's new Black Revolution movement. When they killed him through the plane crash, then it became tougher. Now, Malcolm X and Martin Luther King, like I said, the white power structure realized if they had the education, if the blacks are educated, we cannot let them be educated, because if they are educated, no matter how poor they are, they still know who they are. And if they get the money and are still educated and are willing to revolt and put action towards it, that is a problem. Those are the blacks that we need to be after and get rid of. Now, they killed Malcolm X. Well, before I get to why they killed him. Now, without this money, they could still do the revolution, but it would take way more time because Malcolm X and Martin Luther King didn't have the money to do it. Malcolm X was killed because he was gonna come together with Che Guevara, I think a Cuban leader. I forgot which Puerto Rican leader. I forgot what country he was for. He was gonna come together with Che Guevara, and they were gonna come together and lead. It was for their own races separately, but together they were gonna be funded together, which would have helped blacks, because that's what Malcolm was all for. Oh, and real quick, when Martin Luther King and Malcolm X was gonna do this, when they were going to do this, I forgot Martin Luther King too. I believe his first real name was Malcolm or Michael. It's one of them. I forgot. He changed it because of Martin Luther King, the white dude back in the day. The dude who he went to the church and listed all these demands. He stapled it to the door. But when they were gonna do their revolutionary group, Malcolm was gonna have the North. He was gonna educate the North. And Malcolm and Martin, he was going to educate the South. It would have been the perfect dynamic duo, and they would have been unstoppable. But then, like I said, Malcolm's killed because he's gonna team up Che Guevara. They killed him in the Auburn Ballroom. I forgot how to pronounce it. The two black people, who they didn't really kill them, they had blanks in their guns. Threw the smoke bombs, came up, boom, shot Malcolm. They, like I said, they're not the ones who killed him. It was a dude on the roof who actually killed him. It was the FBI who killed Malcolm X. They had a guy in the FBI in the roof shoot down. He shot down from Malcolm X's viewpoint. And that's why if you look up Malcolm X autopsy reports or just any interviews talking about his autopsy reports, they would tell you the bullets, when they hit him, it came from a down position. Malcolm was on stage, so if it was the dudes with I believe they had shotguns. If it was the dudes with the shotguns, it would have came from up position because Malcolm is up. Since he's up, they would have had to up, so the bullets would have went up Malcolm. The only way for Malcolm, the bullets to be down, the bullets had to come from the roof. Got rid of Malcolm X. Martin Luther King, he was the one of the last hopes. Martin Luther King started changing his viewpoints specifically. Martin Luther King, even though everyone know this dream stuff, he was very, very aggressive in his protests. I wouldn't call it peaceful. I would call it aggressive protest. Non-violent, but aggressive. And that's what you gotta like. That's what I like. And they don't tell people about Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King started changing his ideologies a little bit and got help from Malcolm ideologies to we've got to get let's really get back to where we're getting our own black stuff. Not even just educating them, throwing action onto it. And that's why they had to kill Malcolm and Sam Cooke first. Sam Cooke was funding it, so they had to go ahead and get rid of him. Malcolm, he was going to go ahead and do the action first, so they had to kill him right after. They killed Sam Cooke in 63, they killed Malcolm in 65. Martin, even though he was a Christian, and he went to jail all these many times, and I don't give a fuck about the shit with him cheating on Coretta. Niggas do nigga shit. He was about to start providing action, and actually already did. The breadbasket campaign is why Martin Luther King got killed. Look it up. What was the breadbasket campaign? The breadbasket campaign, Martin Luther King was going to all these major cities educating blacks. Now, like I said, the education does scare the white power structure, but what scares them most is action with the education. Hold up. I think I got a shot. My phone had died, but we back good now. Shit. Okay. Since my phone is on the charger. Alright. Now, where was we at? Breadbasket campaign. One thing the white man does not like, he does not like education, but one thing he hates even more is education with action. Education with action and revolution is detrimental to the white race. So when Martin Luther King comes and does the breadbasket campaign. Now he did things before that, but we're strictly focused on the real like thing that got him killed. The breadbasket campaign was helping blacks in poor communities everywhere, getting them whatever they need: job, house, food stamp. Well, not food stamp, but job, houses, jobs, houses, money for houses, anything they need, food, anything. Anything they needed, Martin Luther King was gonna get it for them. And where he was getting the money from, it was getting funded. I forgot from who specifically, but the Kerner Commission, when that came out, there was all these blacks that were getting killed. And basically, because of all this, Martin Luther King was using it to his advantage. Now, Martin Luther King never actually got his hands on the Kerner Commission itself. But basically, Martin Luther King would go out. The Selma March is a good example. They would go out to these white neighborhoods, and what they would do is record secretly and get stuff on TV, in the news, in the media, and all that. And then white people couldn't say, oh, we didn't do it, because for years they were saying, oh, we didn't do that to them. It just happened mysteriously. Or there was no motive behind it. You know, it was an accident. But recording it, Martin Luther King, he thought of that. He said, we need to record it. And so everybody will see it. And in other white people in the population's mind, in other people's minds, in their minds, they will even start to change. Now, they're not going to change their racism, because I told you, they're all racist. But if they see that, the government's going to have no other choice but to fund this. And if he would have got his hands on a Kerner Commission, which the Kerner Commission was proof of that blacks are being heavily killed by police officers and like KKK and all this stuff, and it's being a detriment to them, and this is why they're poor, they would have had no other choice but to give Martin Luther King all the money he wanted for the Bad Basket campaign. Now, he actually did one in Chicago, and he actually did one, and that's the reason, one of the reasons I think why they dropped, which I'm gonna get on this more later, they dropped a lot of the drugs and guns in Chicago and New York. But yeah, Breadbasket campaign, he was about to go to DC and do it. One of the most known cities in America, right by the White House. If he would have been able to do it, boom. Every other city, the exposure would have been so ridiculous. Every other city in America would have been able to get it. So blacks economically, stop, nigga. We might be hiring white people right now. If not hiring, we would not be in the predicament we are in right now. And the white man knew this, so had to kill Martin Luther King. Got him to go to Memphis. How did they get him to go to Memphis? They killed the garbage workers, social workers. The white power structure killed them. Martin Luther King came over to go eat at a friend's house. I know Jesse Jackson was a part of it, because how did the police know he was going to go eat at a friend's house? When Martin Luther King came over to Memphis, he was going to stay at a more expensive, the Inn place. The FBI faked that black people were criticizing him for staying there instead of the poor motel, the Lorraine motel he ended up staying at. They faked it so Martin Luther King would say, you know what, It's cool, you know, let me be with my people. I'll stay at the Lorraine Motel. They did it on purpose to get him there. They switched his floors. Got a call from the CLC, the Southern Christian Leadership, the Southern Christian, the shit Martin Luther King was in, the SCLC. Got a call from them. We need to switch the floors. Jesse Jackson threw off the bodyguards. There was bodyguards that was going to protect Martin Luther King. He said, we don't need you. They went up the stairs after they got the floor to his room changed. Got it to the second floor so they would have a better shot at it. They was supposed to kill him while he was going there into the car. But the shot was so good. The opportunity was so good. Once Martin Luther King got on the balcony, y'all know the rest. And then at the hospital, like the nurse said, and she testified, they smothered him. Martin Luther King was alive. They kicked all the nurses out. They brought in the doctors, FBI. The nurse said there was doctors, FBI people, cops, government people, all of them in there to kill Martin Luther King. Smothered him. And that right there, well, not that. And there was one more leader I gotta bring up, Fred Hampton. He was going to take all that what Martin Luther King and Malcolm X was gonna pull off. Martin Luther King did pull off. He was gonna take it to the next level. At 21 years old, he had all the potential in the world. All the potential. He was already just as smart as Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. 21. Do you know if they would have let that build? Do you know what would have happened? He would have took over the 70s. The white power structure said the rise of the 60s black leaders, that is not going to happen again. So what we need to do is we need to kill anyone who even has the potential. Now, COINTELPRO is a part of this, but this specifically with Fred Hampton and the Black Panthers, because they're militant, they were, I guess you could say, the start of the COINTELPRO documents of where they put it in. Or they are the model of what the COINTELPRO documents were talking about. They were the description of type of people. Black, educated, unifying, and militant. Fred Hampton, he was going to take all that. He was going to take all the momentum of the 60s movement. He was going to take the Black Panthers because the Black Panthers actually made Fred Hampton their leader. Fred Hampton was going to get funded. I forgot by who specifically, but he was going to do all this at the age of 21. If he would have lived just 5 more years, black people would not be in the predicament we are now. They killed Fred Hampton. It'd be your own people. Every black leader was killed. A black person had something to do with it. And that's sad. That's psychological damage we have now. But, yeah, They killed all the black leaders. Killed Malcolm X. Killed Martin Luther King, Marcus Garvey, Sam Cooke, Fred Hampton. It pretty much at that point it didn't kill off the Black Panthers, but the Black Panthers weren't the same. Like I said, we lost our ambition. We came in, we started fucking with the white corporations more and wanted to work for them and be their CEOs of their companies. So people, it's half our fault and half of it's not. And then through integration, which I don't like, they blame Martin Luther King for. We're not gonna sit here and blame him because black people don't want to take accountability that we're the ones who decided we want to go to the white schools. Martin Luther King got us access to those so we could become more educated. He did not want us to strictly go to those and just forget about the HBCUs. That's how they killed the black leaders. I'm gonna have another full video on that though. That was just a run through. Now that y'all know that though, then the 70s. Now once they got through the black leader era, the 50s, 60s, 40s, 50s, 60s, specifically the 60s, what they had to come up with is a plan. They were like, this cannot happen again. We were in shambles. The white power structure came together and said, if we're gonna keep white supremacy alive, that just happened. That cannot happen again. That 60s black leader movement, that cannot happen again ever. That was embarrassing and could have been very detrimental to white supremacy. What in the hell are we doing? We've got to do better. We've got to come up with something to where that never happens again, and this is where we lose our ambition, the 1970s. The 1970s first, they took out the trade schools. What we have to do, because of these blacks that are educated, so most of them aren't. The ones rich, though, the ones that are rich, they got rich from skills and jobs they did. So what we got to do, we got to take those away. Not even the jobs itself. We got to take away teaching them how to do it. So they took out the trade schools. Let's see. Yeah, they took out the trade schools in the 70s. So now when you go to college, you're learning something that's not gonna help you in the real world. Your major is most likely not gonna help you in the real world. And now once you get those college degrees, there's a lot of unemployed black people with college degrees. People in general with unemployed with college degrees, but specifically black people. Then in the 80s, they put in the guns and drugs. They did this step by step. Just a step by step. This was done step by step. Because now all these black people, they're not going to college as much. My bad. They're going to college more, but not for the trade schools. They're going to be more unemployed. So what does that mean? They're not going to have as much money. So what we got to do, since they're going to be on the street more, we got to put something out there to get them in jail. And I got to go back a little bit. They created the jail strictly for black people. Because we got to put them in there so they cannot be having sex with any white women. or the women cannot be having sex with any white men, which that will create a black child, and that will make our race even less. Even though the white race is already going down because of um genetic domination from the black race. And that's why they passed abortion laws. But um a lot of shoot, I'm sick as fuck. Where we at? Had a minute, sorry, but um they dropped the guns and drugs into the poor neighborhoods, knowing obviously they're gonna use it since they're poor. They don't have the money, so if they can either sell the drugs, get arrested from that. They did this shit step by step on purpose to bring black people down. When you get the drugs, they can arrest you for possession of drugs. Name me how many white people go to prison for possession of drugs. And then tell me that compared to black. Compare that to black people. So that's one of them with the drugs. They can also, if you're trafficking the drugs, conspiracy at that. Now, actually, I'm gonna get into this conspiracy with the '90s, but yeah, possession, trafficking, and then also doing the drugs. That's 3 ways we can arrest you right there. And it's gonna be majority blacks because they're poor. They're doing it so they can provide for their families. Now, you got the guns. Why was the guns necessary? Why did the white man, even though all this time they didn't want blacks to have guns, you know why they gave it to us then? They realized the guns would not be used against them. We've gotten these people. They don't know themselves anymore. 70s, we still kind of knew ourselves, but especially 90s and on, these people don't know themselves. They don't realize we're their real enemies. They hate their race. They think they're in their predicament now because they are the weaker race. But they don't realize it was because of gun warfare. They know about slavery, but they don't know about from 1900 to 1960s. They don't know about the Black Wall Street killing. They don't know we did all this stuff to them. They think we just freed them from slavery, and then they messed themselves up. And that's why they're poor. They don't even know the truth, that we're the reason they're so poor. So they're going to be shooting each other. And that's why we're going to give them guns. Because when they shoot each other, in prison for murder. And what we're also going to do, we're going to need people to get their guns licensed. What do you need to do? Money for the license. Background check. Who does this favor? White people. So when black people have these guns that we're gonna put in there, in the drugs, we're gonna put the guns and the drugs in the hood on purpose, in these high poverty places. And when they use them, because we know they will, we're gonna arrest their ass for gun possession. You don't even have to shoot it. But if you possess a gun that's unlicensed, unregistered, arrest his ass, take his ass to jail, and then shoot, I'm fucking sick as hell. Take his ass to jail. Those 5 ways right there. is what really started the mass incarceration crisis. Now, the 90s, it got even worse. We went to jail even more. The 90s babies were considered this new group of blacks, this new generation of blacks are evil. Bill Clinton crime bill. What did it do? You no longer. And George Bush passed something similar in 2000. He called it Global 2000. Yeah. In these in hold up. In the Bill Clinton crime bill, shit. In the Bill Clinton crime bill, now we can go off conspiracy. You can be convicted guilty. And you can be arrested and convicted guilty without full proof. We don't need full proof. Proof and evidence is different. We don't need full proof. Before the 90s, you pretty much needed full proof of somebody doing a crime, specifically when it came to something like that, like murder or something, or guns and drugs. You needed full proof to convict them. In the 90s, that changed, or drugs. But 90s, that changed. That's where all the conspiracy come in. Oh, you say you didn't kill him? Okay, that's cool. We don't have proof. Conspiracy to murder. Take his ass to prison. Conspiracy to traffic drugs. Take his ass to prison. Conspiracy. And that's where the 90s. I think in the 80s we were okay. Well, compared to years now. And it started in the 70s. But after the 70s, it was over with. Honestly, the 60s, but it was over with. But yeah, Bill Clinton crime bill, conspiracy. We can put your ass in there for conspiracy. We don't need proof on you. Now, I gotta go back real quick to the 70s. Really the 80s. Now, once all this was going on, now this was to bring down the black man. All of what I just said with the 70s, 80s, took out trade schools, guns and drugs, and Bill Clinton crime bill. That was to bring down the black man and make him economically inferior to the black woman. Why is that? Because they had to separate the black man and black woman. They had to take the head off the snake with the black man. And what were they doing with the black woman? They actually weren't putting her down. They were rising her. Because now the black woman is at home. The black man is either in prison or dead. The black woman is at home, defending for herself. But you know what else? She's getting her education, which is making her smarter. Which, since it's making her smarter, she feels better than the black man. And that's what they keep pushing. And the black man hasn't been there for her, so it's understandable. She feels she was left alone. And then on top of that, the black man is going to sleep with the white woman. That's why in the 70s, they passed the interracial stuff. They passed the interracial marriage. And that was so the black man can marry the white woman now. And the black woman be left alone because she's not, at least to the extent of the black man, she's not going to sleep with the white man as much as the black man is going to sleep with the white woman. The black man thinks by him sleeping with the white man, he has one up on him, but he really doesn't. Because economically, once that white woman leaves him, it's over with. Even till today. All these, I know y'all see all these divorces that be happening. Jonathan Majors, Jeezy. They ain't even got to get divorced. Bill Cosby. All this stuff where the white woman seeks her money is going to happen. You have to keep it in the back of your mind. In the bedroom is what for the black nigga, for the black niggas. For us, the bedroom is for sex and pleasure, and that is it. The white woman, the bedroom is warfare. Nigga, this shit is war. Nigga, this is war. Nigga, this means war. This is economic warfare. Nigga, I'm trying to get your money. And if you don't let me get your money, that's cool. I'ma fuck your name up. Ezekiel Elliott. I'ma fuck your name up. So, yeah, the black woman was left to defend herself, so she got more masculine. When you become more masculine, when the black man gets out of prison and he's broke, the black woman's like, nigga, fuck you, nigga. I don't need your bitch ass. Fuck you, nigga. You left. So fuck you. And I got bread now. So fuck you. But deep down inside, the black woman is still hurt when the black man goes and sleeps with that white woman. As educated and as economically stable as she may be, she is hurt. And what is that hurt doing? It's throwing on to the kids. The black boy, without his father, he don't know how to be a man. Most of them, at least. Not all. He's more emotional. He gets into more arguments. He talks about gossip more. He doesn't know how to control his emotions because he was always around his mom. So that's all he knows. Then at school, he's around these other black boys who don't have their father. So it's the same metric. They react off emotion. What with the black little girl? Well, her, since she's already emotional with the she's already emotional because she is going to soon be a black woman, and that is the female, metric, female behavior. The little black girl, since she's never had a father, she doesn't know what type of man she needs in life. She doesn't know what to look for. So when she finds any boy who is messed up from not having his father, and he reacting emotionally and getting into fights all the time and ready to kill off of emotions, she thinks that's what a man is supposed to do. So she begins to like him. she doesn't know what else to do because she never had a father to tell her that's not a real man. She doesn't know that when she's dating all these guys, that's not what a woman's supposed to do. And the the black father is supposed to be there to tell the little black girl to not hoe around and to show her what a real man is. But he's not there because he's in jail or dead. You don't even necessarily need a father, but just to have a black man figure around the children is all you need. Why that doesn't happen a lot now? Black people will say, they're not my kids, so I can't tell them nothing. Even if they're cousins. Can't say that. A child is birthed by the parents, but raised by the community. But we're not doing that anymore. But yeah, when the black boy and black girl, when they come up acting like this and they get older, and then when they go off their ways and have their kids, the same thing else happens. And the other kids, the same things else happens to their kids and their kids. And then eventually, you're to where we're at now. Where the black man is in prison constantly and reacts off emotion because he can't provide for his family. And the black woman, she's very educated and smart, and she's well financially, but she doesn't feel loved, and she's insecure in herself because they tell black women that they are ugly. Hold up. They tell the black woman that she's ugly. And the black man, he starts to believe it. The black woman starts to believe it because the black man goes on with the white woman. So, it's an all-in cycle. It's a generational curse. It's 50-50 to blame. It's the blame on us that we keep continuing it, but it's 50% on white supremacy because they're the ones who did it on fucking purpose. Because they knew this is what we would do. They studied our behavior. They had to keep us occupied with other things like the media, sports, all this stuff. To keep us occupied in the fact that they are oppressing us still. And that they are the true enemy, the government, not the population, white people. The government, white supremacy. Now, once we get into the Masons, the Bilderbergs, and the bankers, now that's a whole nother thing. That's for a whole nother video, so I'm not gonna get into that now. But they're all in it together. They poison the chicken. They know black people love chicken, so they poison it. All this LGBTQ stuff. The men and women are competing. The men are competing with the women. There's no other race that does that. Black people are the only race where genders compete. Black men talk down on black women talk down on black men. White race, the Asian, the Mexicans, anyone, the Arabs, the Indians. No other race of people do that. You will never see a white man downing the white woman as a personal attack. Actually, no, not even personal attack. As a all attack. Like every white woman is like this. You will never see a white woman be like every white man is like this. They will talk about individuals, but they will never say it as a group because you're not supposed to. The fucking news, all that shit is fake. All that Democrat Republican shit is neither. First of all, Democrats root from the KKK, so I don't know. I do know why black people vote for them, but we've got to stop. The Republicans are the ones helping us in the civil rights movement, even though they are still racist. And even though some of them helped us in the civil rights, they are still racist. You are racist unless you can find me a way to eliminate your white privilege. And for any white person saying, "Oh well, I'm not racist," well, I ask them this: any white person out there, and it's no hate towards you. You know, shout out to white people. Shout out to you. But I'm actually cool with a lot of white people. But in the back of my mind, I'm already knowing they're all racist. Because ask any white person this: the privilege you have now and the economic power you have and control over America. If you could, would you want it to level out with blacks? Or do you want to keep the power that you have? Do you want to eliminate your white privilege and let blacks be completely equal with you? Just ask them that. No cap. Any white person that tells you yes, they are lying. Let me tell you why they are lying. Because if you have went your whole life and some white people don't actually know, so I'm not gonna go after the ones who actually don't know that they are racist. If you go your whole life with a privilege, you're most likely not gonna know it. But black people, we never had the privilege, so we're growing up with a different thinking. So, especially if you're around all white people, they're not gonna tell you you have a privilege. So you got to think of it that way. But yeah. Then another way they keep us occupied with all these clothes, designer stuff, making us spend all our money on worthless stuff. Now I buy the stuff too, but at the same time, I'm not gonna blow all this stuff on retarded. Like, I'm not gonna continuously buy this stuff. I buy stuff that I like and all that, but you're not going to see me just splurging out on stuff. That is ridiculous. And what's funny, these aren't black businesses they're splurging out on. They're mainly white or Asian corporations. Then yeah, hair, um um hmm, black black women are spending a ridiculous amount on hair, which I don't blame white women. You know, it's because of black men we made y'all like this. Because we made y'all unconfident. It was really the white man, but the black man made it worse. We're a lot at apart. because we should have took up for y'all and we didn't. And yeah, they're spending a ridiculous amount on hair and makeup, nails. It's ridiculous. It is ridiculous. Now I'm gonna get into. I'm not gonna get into the school system itself, but what I will say, because that's gonna be a whole nother lecture. I got a lot of lectures coming this year. I'm making at least 100 lectures a year. Mark my word, at least 100. And I know I only got 7 months left to do it, but I'm gonna do it. Most when you hear black owned, I gotta check where it's funded, because if it's white funded, that means they have to follow their rules. The man who, the man who, the man who is the man who feeds. No cap. And if it's black owned and it's a black school, but you have to follow white rules, is this really owned? They're not gonna let you speak out on a lot of issues. That's why a lot of the schools or churches, think about churches too, black owned churches, per se black owned. Well, they gotta follow the white man's rule through faith based initiative through the FBI. And that's why they're not speaking on, major churches are not speaking out on it. Wrapping up here soon. It's getting pretty close to 2.5 hours. So yeah, and they're just trying to get rid of us still to this day, through the 2000s, 2010s with the LGBTQ bill Barack Obama did not force, which in his defense, he never said he would. He did pass the LGBTQ thing because he's gay himself. Hey Sin, or whatever his name used to be, was a gay man, and he dated Michael, or as you know him, Michelle Obama. Um, and Michelle changed into a woman. Michael changed into a woman and called himself Michelle. And so that was another push on the LGBTQ. You got the migrants. They're coming in, stealing our jobs, stealing all the I can't even say they're stealing all the food stamps. It's a lot of white people on food stamps. But they're getting food stamps, they're getting black people's jobs because they're coming in, they're working for lesser pay. And that's a part of the gentrification. Right now, they're coming in when we're quitting our jobs because it's not enough pay. Because they done rose on the rent. They're letting these Mexicans come in for lesser pay. But they're also letting the Mexicans, they're giving them maybe food stamps or something. So they don't have to put all their money towards the rent. My bad. They don't have to put their money towards all the other stuff. So when they get their paycheck, some of it can go to the rent. But that's it. The other stuff, they get that for free. Food stamps, all that stuff. Now they just passed a $50 million bill. Biden did. I think all families in Chicago, New York, they're getting $1,000 per family, per household. Black people, I don't even want to talk about reparations. That is a whole nother. It's a trap too, but that's a whole nother thing. The Asian hate stuff. The migrants is taking us over. The Mexicans, the Hispanics, they're taking us over. And that the Asian hate stuff. They want to get over this black hate that is still fully alive, and they want to cover it up with the Asian hate stuff. Asian hate, come on now. all these stores the Asian got in these black communities because they know black people is gonna spend their money on it. Come on now. Then, oh, I talked about it. They banned abortion because the white race is dying out. The white race is dying out. Even though they're trying to replace us, they're still dying out. And in order to keep making babies being made, they had three options. I had to shout out Jane Elliott, even though she is still racist. She did expose the reasons. I forgot the third reasons, but two of the reasons. Their first option, not the reason. Two out of three of their options. I forgot one of them, but their first option was to pay women to have babies. Can't do that because if you do that, it will then expose the true reason behind it. And why will it expose it? Because if they would start paying, they would have started paying women. They would have had to pay black women, which they don't do. And if they would have had an exception, oh, no black women. See, with racism now, they don't want white people being upfront with the racism because that shows the racism is still alive. They want white people to be quiet and say black people have their rights and we're not racist and all that. They need them to say that because that will keep it covered that America is still racist. Even more racist, I could argue. They're just not upfront with it anymore. They do it systematically. But yeah, couldn't do that option. Couldn't pay all the women because you'd have to pay Mexican, Asian, all these women. That would have been more people for all races. But their other option, I forgot the second option, but the third option, turn over Roe and Wade, ban abortion. Because then all these white women having babies with my bad. All these white women when they're having abortions. Maybe because they're younger or their uncle raped them or something like that. That's one less white child. And they don't want that because they need all the people they can get. So, and then they use it way more. At least in hiding, they use it way more. You know. Am I gonna talk about anything? Oh, I think that's gonna be it, guys. Yeah. It's looking like that's gonna be pretty much it. Yeah, that's I may do a part 2 to this, but that is the white. That is the domination of the white man, the European man, white supremacy. That was the rise of it, the history of it. It's more stuff. I may do a part 2. Won't be right now, but that is an overview of all of it. And yeah, so a lot, yeah, racism is just as alive as it is ever. Do not let them fool you into thinking it's not. And we black people, we've got to just, even when we wake up, we've got to throw action to waking up. Even me, I've got to start throwing more action. That's why I started the YouTube channel. That's why I need to start doing lectures on the streets and all that. But and maybe even start a movement. But yeah, we've just gotta the white man, he's strategic and he's smart, and he has done a number on black people. We are psychologically and a little bit psychedelically messed the fuck up in the head. And yeah, I think I'm gonna catch y'all later. Nice little lecture. Peace to y'all. Breath in. Peace to all the gods. Peace to all the goddesses. Peace to the black woman. Peace to the black man. Peace to all people. You know, I have no hate towards white people, but I have to speak the truth to history. More research will be done. I will probably do a part 2 to this. And yeah, I will catch y'all later.